my problem was I'm surrounded by winners. So a lot of my boys have exited their businesses, they're killing it. So then that messes with my head. Then I'm like, oh, should I do this? I'm like, fuck. But if I do that, am I less successful? Like literally last night, I kid you not, I'm Googling motherfuckers' net worths. And I'm literally trying to Google what people exited for, because I'm trying to then compare myself.
And on this episode, I'm blessed to be joined by the one and only Jay Richards. Jay is the co-founder of Imagen Insights. He has worked with the likes of Amazon, Google, Unilever, and is also Forbes 30 Under 30. Jay, thank you so much for coming on the show.
My man, I'm so glad to be here. I'm mad excited, bro. Even talking just beforehand, we were just getting gas.
It's it. There's big founder energy in the room,
There's
right?
big energy in the room right now.
So I've heard from Kobe, I've heard from the team that you had a rebellious start in life. I don't know what that means. I want to know. What's the story?
I was bad breed, man. I was good at bad breed, you know. I was good at being bad at school. So I'm number 5 out of 6 kids. Parents are immigrants to the country. My parents did their best they could, but you're able to slip through the cracks because there's so many of them, so many kids. So for me, when I was at school, I was just misbehaving, just getting in trouble. Outside of school, just. Yeah, I won't go too deep because you don't want to bait yourself up. But there was stuff that I did. I was good at just getting other kids to do what I needed them to do. But then I kind of channeled that when I was 13, 14. Started a few businesses, so started selling t-shirts in school. And I'd get the kids to they would take a half day on a Friday and they'd sell t-shirts around London for me and stuff like that. So it was like, in the end, I was able to channel that energy. But then I had a son at 16, so I had to try and figure that out. And then so obviously became a dad at 17 years old, 16, 17 years old. So I had to figure that out, and then decided to go to university because that felt like the safest route for a parent. But yeah, so the start was turbulent, but it's definitely made me who I am, which is great.
Yeah, of course. And so you had a kid at 16, and how much was that okay, I can't do the entrepreneurial thing now, I need safety. Did that ever come into mind?
Yeah, 100%. So I was always starting things, even when I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to university. So I managed to buy part of a nightclub when I was at uni. Managed to set up multiple different businesses with friends. Started a nightclub promotion company. So even when I was still at university, I was able just to get up to shit, which was great, and I loved it. And then for me, it was just a safety of going, okay, I'm getting my degree. Because like I said, parents are immigrants, and that's number one thing. You get a degree, you become doctor, lawyer, teacher, whatever it is, you do those things. So I was like, all right, let me get the degree sorted, and then I will still set up things on the side. Yeah. And then went into full-time employment straight after that.
Wow, okay. It's funny, so many young founders I speak to, everyone was running music nights at uni.
Yeah,
right?
100%. It's the go-to thing. It's just easy. Most of us talk too much, and normally if you talk too much, you end up in that kind of space. You either end up being an estate agent or a car salesman, or you start some kind of nightclub or something. But a lot of the boys that I was with, we were all interested in the same thing, so it was good.
Okay, nice. I mean, that must have been incredibly fun. Running a nightclub at uni.
Imagine at university, do you want to come in? Yeah, darling, you can come in. But you know what I mean? It was good. I enjoyed it.
Amazing. Okay, and when you're looking at other founders at the moment, I see a lot of people now wanting to become founders, and it's a really popular thing to do. And it definitely wasn't like that. It didn't feel like that 15 years ago. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs arrive at it because it's just in their blood. It's just something they've got to do, rather than maybe working at a consultancy and saying, right, I'm going to find an opportunity. So for you, entrepreneurialism always been in the blood.
Yeah, 100%. So my mum was starting businesses before I was born.
Wow.
So when she first came to the country, she came from Jamaica. My nan, but typical Caribbean thing, you bring you go to the country, then you bring the child after. So she came when she was a little bit older. So she came at 16, landed, couldn't really land in full-time employment, so started her own thing, started doing that for a while, then got a degree, got herself sorted out, and then once she had a degree, she then also started a new business. So by the time she met my dad, she had 2 kids from her ex, but she owned her own home, she had her own business. So she was basically I don't need you, I want to be with you type thing. So that's in my DNA. You come to a country, you build, you just make it happen. So it's definitely, for me, through and through is who I am.
It's also great relationship advice as well.
Oh, 100%. It's gold. She's I don't need to have you. Especially, she's the ultimate feminist. I don't need to have you. Actually, I'm choosing to be with you, which is wonderful.
Yeah, so it was really easy for you to then see that path, see how it works, and just have confidence that actually I can back myself as an entrepreneur, I can make things happen, things will be okay.
Yeah, I think the thing that it taught me is that actually, regardless of all outside external circumstances, you can, like you're saying, you can bet on yourself. But I think the common mistake I made, that most entrepreneurs make, you think you have to make this big leap. You're I can't have my full-time job. You're I need to leap into it. And for a while, I started businesses while studying, and I started businesses while working full-time. But in hindsight, I should have started Imagen and stayed in my full-time job longer.
Oh,
'Cause
really?
I didn't actually need to leap as soon as I did.
Wow.
And
okay.
I think I probably could have stayed for 2 or 3 years and built Imagen up further, had a lot more revenue, been a lot more chill, and then made the leap and been in a lot more comfortable position. But you take that risk, you do what you need to do, and now we are where we are. But in hindsight, I definitely would have waited longer. And for the next thing I start, I will definitely wait a lot longer before I jump into it full time.
Super interesting. Why is that? Is it just the case that you actually felt like you didn't need the time investment into the new business, or because most people I speak to say the opposite? It's like
Yeah,
wish they made
for
the
sure.
leap sooner, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I think it's a really good question. I'm reading a book at the moment called Originals by, I want to say it's Mark Grant. I might be just making his name. I might be making his name up, but really, really good. Or Adam Grant. I don't know, some white guy name. Some guy's name. But really, really good book. And one of the core themes I've seen in the first 5 or 6 chapters is he's talking about the idea as entrepreneurs, we're all told like, oh, you have to take the risk and take the leap, quit your full-time job, so on and so on. But statistically, it's proven that entrepreneurs that start businesses later actually do better.
Yes.
And also statistically, it's proven that the people that keep their jobs longer actually statistically end up doing better than the ones that take the leap earlier. That's just statistics. So when I'm looking at it, and that's just my experience as well. So when I'm looking at it, I'm not saying don't do that, because every situation is different. And I think the problem with entrepreneurship is we have like a blanket rule where we're kind of like, everybody should do da, 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 da. And I think personally for me, from my position in life where I am, mortgage, life, children, da, 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 for me, it's the longer I have that job, I can then build, and you get to that point where you go, actually, is this a viable idea? And I think the problem is sometimes you leap and then you launch, and then actually it's not a viable idea, but it's too late. So now you've got to try and then the stressor of it going from a hobby to a full-time job adds extra intensity. When actually most of us could launch it on the side, and we say we don't have time, but you do. There's 20,
of course.
like the 24. Beyonce's got 24 hours. So
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like we can make it work, and it will put strain, and that strain is tough, but that strain is nothing compared to the strain of this needs to pay my mortgage this month. Those are 2 different stresses, and I think that ability to go, actually I can take that risk. And it's still a risk because you are taking a massive chance on yourself and on the business. So it's still a risk, but it's a calculated risk. And at the same time, I've got friends that they invest in the S&P 500. They invest in a long-term 4% savings account, but then they also invest in crypto. They don't put everything in on crypto. They're going, actually, you know what? I'm going to do both of these because these are safer. And then I'm gonna go in on crypto. And I've got relatives that went all in on crypto and told me I was stupid for doing S&P 500, and I haven't heard from them in a while because they're broke. Do you know what I mean? And that's
because they sold their phones
exactly,
to make up their losses.
Exactly, yeah.
Super interesting, because when I talk to you, it's so clear to me that for you, it's a mindset thing, right? It's not I need to quit my job because I don't have the time in the day. It's more, no, I have the time in the day. I can make this work, and therefore I can just make my time work for me in that way. So talk to me about mindset. Is that something that you're working on? Is that just something that you're born with? Because from my perspective, constantly trying to improve minds, constantly trying to just make myself feel better, make myself more effective. Is that just you naturally?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's mean. I don't know. Would I say that? I don't know. But I think I have a great therapist, which is always good. And I always encourage everybody to do therapy. A lot of my boys have recently started therapy, which is great. I absolutely love, because now we're going to have deeper conversations. We went to Copenhagen the other day, and we were speaking for like 6 solid hours just about like therapy and like childhood trauma and shit like, which is amazing. And I absolutely love that. And I think having that has really changed my life. So I started that about 4 years ago, which is really, really good. And that's made a massive impact. I had a lot of trauma from childhood and from early teens that I've been able to just work through, and still am working through. But I think that then leads you to then look introspectively, and then you sit there and you go, okay, cool. So I do X, but why do I do X? And understanding those underlying reasons. And I think for me, going back to your question, it's going, okay, yes, I was born with a modicum of actually I want to improve myself and I want to be better, but now I actually have the tools to do that, because you can have that desire, but then it's just caked in like trauma and all these things that are just covering it up. But as you get older and you get wiser, you're like, okay, you get a few grey hairs in your beard and on your head, you're like, actually, okay, cool. Let me just take time to sit down, ponder. Let me read some books that I wouldn't normally read. Let me look introspectively. Let me look at the way I treat people in my world and think, actually, is this the kind of person I want to be? And actually then that begins to change. I definitely think as entrepreneurs, we're more likely to do it because we're constantly beating ourselves up.
Yes.
Nothing we do is ever good enough. You do it,
course.
and you're like, so you're constantly looking introspectively as an entrepreneur, but now you get to do it with less trauma, and you get to do it with more of a clear mind.
It's really interesting. So I started therapy 2.5 years ago,
Yeah, sick.
and it was a journey of finding the right therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get a bad therapist, I remember there was one therapist who was talking to me about like sociopathic tendencies, and he was like, he was trying to tell me a story about him. He's trying to level with me. And he was like, one time I was at a restaurant and the waitress was, she wasn't amazing. So I didn't leave her a tip. And that was the story. And I was like, yeah, okay. If that's how you're trying to relate to me about your like psychopathic tendencies, like you're not the man for me. That was the whole story. I was waiting.
Sounds crazy, bro.
Yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, you need some help. But yeah, started with a new therapist 2.5 years ago, who's a great guy. But it's been so interesting, that journey for me, because now it's like analyzing everything, and I think it really does make you think of how you are as a leader, exactly as you said, how you treat other people. But now it's like just that new perspective, and sometimes it feels like taking not a step back, but it's a really up and down process going through it as you're working through and unlocking more stuff. And how are you managing going on that journey in a personal way, and then sometimes there's tougher moments within that when you're unlocking new traumas and things you didn't even know are going on, and then how do you bring that into work or make that separation?
It's tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. So like, say for example, with trauma with my parents, it's like I talk to my mum every week, and I meet my therapist on a Friday morning. So sometimes I'm like, I don't really want to talk to you. Like, not to my therapist, but to my mum. I'm just like, bruv, I've spoken about some things this week that has brought up some childhood stuff, and like my parents did a good job. But I'm number 5 out of 6 kids, so it's gonna like there's always gonna be things, there's always gonna be issues there, and I'm like, all of us have some kind of trauma with our parents, no matter how wonderful they were, and I think it's hard sometimes to be like, I need to speak to you again. And sometimes I've just been asked my mom, like, hey, I might not call you for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Just because right now, I feel like you're a bit of a dick. And I'm like, I don't want to call you. And the thing is, it's not anything to do with her, because right now we have a good relationship. But I'm just like, there's stuff that happened when I was a kid that I need to work through. And talking to you all the time is making me angry. And the other day, I was my friends just had a little boy, and we went over to visit. And when I got there, they were talking about how their parents turned up straight away, and how they were like, they were around too much, and they were like, just the love was too intense. And I was like, and I just had therapy that morning, and I just offloaded on them, bro. I was like, bro, you don't even, not in a mean way, but I was like, in like a comical way. I was like, you guys don't understand. Like, I would die. All this kind, and they were just like, okay. And then I was like, I'm sorry, I had therapy today. And it was just funny to watch them just react like, yo, is Jay okay? And I was just like, and then as I was leaving, Stephanie was just like, yo, she's like, baby, you just need to chill. I was like, yeah, sorry, my bad. I was like, but because you've had that, it brings all those feelings to the surface. 100%. And I think managing that with family is interesting, but then also managing it in the workplace, as you said, with my team, is sometimes you can see, because co-founder relationships are always interesting.
It's a marriage.
Yeah, 100%. And like, it's like, you're looking at that dynamic, and you're looking at the dynamic with the team, and everybody's looking a lot of the time to me to be like, hey, what are we doing next? And I'm like, cool. And it's trying to understand that and try and lead the team without lashing out, trying to lead the team without just being a detriment, and actually trying to be an addition to what they're doing. But it's interesting just navigating the different personalities within the team, especially when you're looking going, I've had therapy, so I can see why you're acting like this, but I can't tell you that because I know in telling you that. Do you know what I mean? And then it's also just understanding that and just taking the time to go, okay, it's people, we're all fucked up in our own ways, and that's okay.
Super interesting, and thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I think when you're going down deep in that therapy journey, it's like you're now constantly psychoanalyzing everything. At times, hard to switch that off. And I don't know about you, but like dating, when it's like, this person needs therapy.
Yeah.
It's like, I just can't
the first question on every date should be, so like, tell me what you're learning with your therapist at the moment.
100%. It should be a filter on every date.
100%. And then, no, I haven't had therapy. Oh, cool. Okay, I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah. It's that, right? It's that, and it's so gutting when you meet them and they're like, I haven't gone through the journey yet.
For real. And the thing is as long as you've started, even if it's one session, the idea that you want to get started is just, that's half the battle.
Well, that's it, right? It's there's that guy from, I think, ancient Rome, Umberto.
Yes.
who,
Okay. Yeah.
Right, in his
Yeah.
library, he had way too many books. He couldn't
Yes.
read any of
Yeah.
them. And he was like, don't judge a man by the books he's read. Judge a man by the books he's intending to read.
Yes.
It's the same thing on
for
that
sure.
journey.
Well, I love that. That's such a good quote.
Yeah, it's a good one, right?
Yeah.
So I try and pull out one good quote a
Yeah,
week
for
and
real.
then just chat shit
That's
the
a
rest of
banger. I'm
the
not
time.
gonna lie.
Okay, so have you always had co-founders or been solo entrepreneur before?
So everything was solo, but so I've started 10. Most
Wow,
of them,
start 10.
most of them crash and burn, bro. When I say
Yeah.
started 10, like I'm talking like t-shirt business. I'm talking like they've crashed and burned, but which is great. I love
Yeah.
that shit. And 3, so 7 are solo, 3 are co-founders. Yeah.
And how do you find the difference? What do you prefer?
Good
So
question.
you've got a current
Yeah,
co-founder,
yeah,
so
no,
yeah,
for-
you've got a co-founder,
The,
right?
the thing is the co-founder dynamic is interesting, and the advice I would give, and the advice I would give to myself, is spend a long time getting to know somebody before you make them your co-founder. And I didn't listen. I've in all 3 situations and it's not that it's a bad situation now. It's just the everything needs to align. And if it doesn't, then it will just resurface elsewhere. Like you said earlier, it's like a marriage, and it will just resurface elsewhere. And I think the thing that I'm trying to do is understand that my co-founder will have her expectations, and I will have mine. And then it's what we're much better at now is actually discussing those expectations. So you said this to me, and this is what I heard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And taking the time to do that. And a lot of time it's hard to do that because you're in the day-to-day graft of just building the shit. So you haven't got time to have those conversations. But I think I mentioned earlier before that we started, I have my forever CTO. So anytime I start something, he's my CTO for it. He's the guy that I bring in to help build. And for me, he's like the perfect co-founder because we're very different in the ways we're different.
Would you need that?
Yeah, we're very similar in the ways we're similar, but we also like to run in our own lanes.
Yes.
Where we're very much just like, he's like, you do this and I will do this. And I will never question him on the shit that he's doing because I know he's an expert in that space and he will never question me on my shit. And then we just both just run in our lanes.
Yeah.
And doing that is gold.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's amazing advice for any founder listening. And you're right. When you've got 2 commercial founders, for example, that's when you've got to really, really be careful.
Yeah.
That's my last company. That's what I had. But yes, getting a tech co-founder if you're commercial, that seems to be the best way to do it.
For sure.
And something you said, which I think is 100% right, is the alignment. And for me, I've always looked at it as alignment of effort and alignment of outcome.
Interesting.
So it's like, if I'm going to be your co-founder, if I say we're going to be working on this, you might have a totally different idea of what working is.
Yeah.
And if it's like, okay, we want to make a load of money at the end, we have a very different idea on what a load of money is as well. I see it fall down there a lot.
And that the money thing's interesting because, and one thing my co-founder and I are good at is conversation. So we're just like, we'll just talk it out. We weren't so much at the start and it would just bubble away, but now we're much better at it. And I think we're, on the money thing, I think it's good because we're aligned.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, and I was speaking to you before about strategic partnerships for the business, like what the next step is for us, because I have no idea what that is, but I have a feeling like we're coming to a time when I want to make that decision. I think we need to make that decision as a team between Kat and I. And I think the being aligned on that is great because I've seen it, being aligned on money, is great because I've seen it fall apart where like what your expectations are and what my expectations are different. But I'm actually interested in seeing what it is in practice because we've spoken about it. I'm very intrigued to see what it's like when it actually begins to happen and going, okay, but I thought we were going to do this and I thought we were going to do that. And then speaking about, okay, so what does it look like in practice? So that's going to be interesting. I'll come back to you and tell you.
Yeah, 100%. And how much does having a kid, having a mortgage, all that side of it, how much does that come in when you are thinking about money? Or are you good at being able to say, well, actually thinking about the business, not thinking about myself? Because it's, I think, something we all struggle with, right? Separation between the two.
It's hard, bro. Like having a home, having a mortgage, having a child, want to have more children, all that kind of stuff is definitely weighs on your mind because it's every year you're like next year. Do you know what I mean? Every year it's pushing and pushing and pushing. And like I said, last year we had a phenomenal year last year. This year's been quieter and it's looking going, okay, cool. So like, how do you deal with that mentally? Like complete transparency. I started losing my hair.
Yeah.
Like, I started grinding my teeth. So I went to my dentist and she's like, so my teeth are great. I'm not gonna lie. I get all zeros when they do the dentist call out. But she was like, yo, she's like, you've grinded away a whole layer of your teeth. And I was like, what? She goes, between your last scan and this scan, you just grinded away a whole layer of your teeth. She's like, you say, stop grinding your teeth. So I've had to now start putting my tongue to the roof of my mouth, so I stopped grinding my teeth. Like, started getting alopecia again, haven't had that since uni. So it's like these different things where my body is carrying the stress. So I do like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I gym every day, I eat really healthy. So I do all of the things, but my body's still carrying the stress. So I'm looking at it going, okay, cool. So yes, I want to build this, but do I want to die? Do you know what I mean? So the conversation I'm having right now is I'm super passionate. You know who I am. You know I'm going to, in the nicest way, kill the next guy in front of me. I'm a competitor. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build this business, but let's build it in a way that I don't kill myself. And I think my problem was I'm surrounded by winners. So a lot of my boys have exited their businesses. They're killing it. So then that messes with my head. Then I'm like, oh, should I do this? I'm like, fuck. But if I do that, am I less successful? Like literally last night, I kid you not, I'm Googling motherfuckers' net worths. And I'm literally trying to Google what people exited for because I'm trying to then compare myself.
Yeah.
So I lay there, I put on a meditation. And I was like, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm not going to think about this because there's no point. Why are you trying to compare yourself to people? Just go to bed. Relax. And this is right now. Someone's going to be like, hey, in the past, this is happening. This is the feelings I've got right now. So trying to manage that is very interesting because I'm a competitor and I want to win. But I need to understand that there's certain types of winning. My mum said this morning when I phoned her, she's like, you have to remember you've been a success in many ways already. So I need to understand, okay, what does success look like to me and be comfortable with that.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. It's all about our own definition of
100%.
success. And this is the thing, is if it's always going to be monetary, there's always going to be...
Yeah, for sure.
It's always going to be
somebody's always going to do more.
100%. 100%. So really interesting. And I think the more... Now I'm getting to like 31, about to turn 32 next week. And
happy birthday coming up.
Thank you. And I realize it is so much more about having that respect for yourself in a way which maybe you don't when you're first starting building businesses, where it's like, I need to put everything, every single ounce of me into this business. But it's really interesting on the stress side. So you're doing meditation, doing jiu-jitsu, which I hear is incredible for stress.
Phenomenal, bro.
How long have you been doing that?
So no gi, so that's without the uniform, maybe 7 years.
Wow.
And then with the uniform.
Before it got popular.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%, bro. I was in there. Like the only thing I've managed to avoid is the mushroom is.
Yeah.
Then gi probably 3 years.
Okay.
So yeah, it's good, bro. I love competitions. I love getting locked in a cage and having to kill the guy in front of me. Like, it's phenomenal. I love this stuff.
So with all that, is that the go-to for stress relief? Meditation, BJJ? I mean, what's the...
Gym.
Yeah.
So I train every morning. So whether it's the gym or jiu-jitsu, and then I have football on a Saturday. So I, like 6 days a week, I'm doing some kind of exercise in the morning. And I don't drink coffee. So I only drink water. So I don't drink alcohol, coffee, like teas, not just because I'm special, just because I just don't like.
Do you know what's funny? Like the minute we started talking, I knew you didn't drink.
Mad.
Well, it's just energy. It's that energy that you give, because alcohol is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
Destroys every part of energy.
But the thing is, it's a poison. It's crazy.
It's a poison.
The wildest thing is, it's actually a poison.
Yeah.
It's when you read the books on it, it's like, it's mad.
So I've got Whoop. Right?
Yes, yeah, I've got Aura. Yeah,
okay, fine.
Yeah.
And when I drink,
bro.
I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, basically I died. Basically,
yeah,
how would
Whoop
you
thinks I'm dead.
I died. Yeah,
it literally does. Compared to anything else, like, you know, went to Ibiza a couple of weeks ago, and drinking is by far the worst thing you can do to your body.
It's mad. And I think for me, because I don't do all those things, the reason why I said tea, coffee, blah, blah, is that's my way to wake up in the morning. I need the endorphins. Like, I wake up first thing and I have to hit the gym hard. Yeah. So I do a HIIT workout on the Peloton, and it wakes me up and I'm ready to go. I do jiu-jitsu. I've got some bruises on my face. That wakes me up. I'm good to go. Once I've done that, I'm ready to start my day. So I do it first thing, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm ready to go. And that's my energy. That's
and have you always been militant on that?
Yeah. So I have ADHD, so I sick, love it.
Yeah.
High five.
Makes sense.
And I have to have a very structured day, because having a structured day enables me then to like go crazy outside of that structure. So people will say, oh, but you have too much structure. Isn't that a bad thing? But actually, having my day perfectly organized by my assistant, she's a phenomenal human being, but having my day perfectly organized for me, then when I've got free time, my brain can just wander because it doesn't need to think about anything.
Yeah.
So then I can sit down and just talk shit and wander and hang out with my friends and be present, put my phone in the bin and just chill with them, be present with my son, be present with my family. And I think to answer your question, yes, that's how I manage stress: exercise, getting outside, going for walks, playing football, doing all those kind of things that just enable me just to feel present.
Yeah.
And then because it's hard to not be present when you're getting punched in the face. And then
That'll bring you right back into the room,
like,
right?
whoa, I'm in reality. And then sauna and meditation, I'm good to go.
Okay, nice. Because that's the thing with ADHD, right? It's a constant management of dopamine.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
100%. And the thing is, for me, mine's food.
But mine's
bro, I love
so
food,
bad,
bro. Sugar, bro. Oh,
this time last year, I was 135 kg.
Jesus, bro.
And hadn't stepped in a gym for like 3 years.
Bro, what happened? What did you do? Like,
all
you
the
lost.
above.
Bro, I love
Everything
this, bro.
that-
You've
everything
got so
that you
much weight. That's
said.
great. What are you weighing now?
94.
Yes, bro.
Yeah, so
Love
just
the
over
energy, bro.
40 kg down. Which
That's
is great.
mad, bro.
Yeah.
That is a
so
massive
gymming a lot, eating healthy, doing
Yes,
all that
brother,
good
I love
stuff.
that for you, man.
But it was because I didn't understand my ADHD.
Of course. Yeah,
It was that. It was like,
smashing the food. Yeah, bro. Same.
ultra high process,
Yeah,
all the dopamine.
Yeah, bro.
I'm just dopamine hunter.
Bro,
People
I
ask me what
love
my
the
hobby
sugar,
is.
bro.
I'm just dopamine
I'm
hunter.
like, give me the sugar, bro. Put it intravenously into my veins,
Yeah,
bro.
that's it.
It's crazy, bro. Literally, I'm like, let me have a biscuit. 10 biscuits in. I'm like, no, what happened? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I get it.
So now, because you're so fit and militant on that side, are you then able to indulge the food or
Yes,
still?
yeah. So what I do is I say to myself, okay, I'm not going to say the number of calories because I don't want to mess with people's minds because I know that's really important. But I have a certain number of calories I eat per day, and then I'm like, cool. Some days I'll do fasting, so I'll fast the whole day and have a meal in the evening. And then some other times I'll just have 3 meals a day, but I don't go over a certain point of calories. And then I give myself a certain number of sugar I can have every day.
Yeah.
Because I think I need it every day. Some
Interesting.
people don't. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have an ice solid, I'm gonna have a biscuit, I'm gonna have something every day, just because it gets rid of that need to have it.
Yeah.
And then on the weekend, what I've learned to do, because back in the day, bro, I was smashing like 7,000 calories on a Saturday. It was mad. It was like working hard all weekend on a Saturday, smashing it all. But now on a Saturday, I'm like, okay, let me pull back. Let me still be healthy on the weekend, and then making it more of a lifestyle instead of like peaks and troughs.
Yes.
Where you're like, I'm gonna do great. I'm not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And just understanding that all food is good food as long as it's had in moderation.
It sounds like you've got that moderation, but really,
Yeah,
on
bro.
point. Because
Yeah,
for
man.
me, like if I have that sugar, it's like, oh, we're eating today.
Oh, bro,
You know?
yeah, 100. The thing is, there's times like that, and the thing is, when that happens, I just let myself do it.
Yeah, fine.
I'm like, cool. There's no judgment. You wanted to have a whole pack of biscuits? Have a whole pack of biscuits.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna die. Just what you might do, but you just have a whole pack of biscuits. Enjoy yourself in that moment, and then change it when you need to change it.
All right, love that. I've got 5 questions I ask everyone.
Shoot,
'Cause,
bro.
yeah, okay, and not quick fire or anything.
No,
But
shoot, bro.
First question is, what's the single biggest risk you've ever taken, and what was the outcome?
Wow. Okay. Probably starting this because I'm not a market researcher. I'm not from the space in any way, shape, or form. I hadn't started anything of this size before. I'm not a tech founder. So all of those things add up to failure. All those things add up to stupidity. Don't do this. You're an idiot. But I saw a pain point a client had. They couldn't get, so quick backstory. I started a startup incubator while I was at my last firm, just investing in kids from East London that they would pitch to me and I'd give them money for their pitches. All of them failed, but it was just great just to give money to kids. Facebook heard I was doing it, invited me to speak at an event, spoke at this event, spoke about all these kids that I was helping, brought some of them there. The kids were just like locusts eating all the food. It was sick. And then the head of retail from the NFL was there and was like, yo, I see you've got this network of kids. Could they help us to create a marketing campaign? Took her for dinner, found out that she couldn't get qualitative insight at scale. That was her problem. So I went home that evening, tried to find a company that could solve it, couldn't, so then I built the business. So it's found a problem and then built it. So it wasn't just like I was like, this is a good idea. It was actually someone had a pain point, built it, and then went from there. And then obviously it was NFL, Gymshark, Apple, so on, like all the ones you mentioned earlier, which is wonderful. So that was the biggest risk because everybody around me was like, cool, why don't we just, and I did keep my full-time job for a year. Okay. Everybody was like, cool, like why don't, and then I started it and then the pandemic happened and then But for me personally, that was the biggest risk. And the outcome now is I'm in a better position I've ever been in my entire life, both financially and just from a career perspective. And I'm on the precipice of having it even better. And I know that's possible, so I've just got to figure out what's next. But yeah, definitely the biggest, and that's the outcome right now.
That's amazing. I think it's such an important story as well for people to hear, that it's all about taking those opportunities as and when they come up.
For sure.
It wasn't like you did that 4 weeks later. That night you got on it.
Yeah. Went back the next day and I was like, yo, how much would you pay me to do this? She's like, 30 grand. I was like, sick, I quit. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'll do it for a year and then I'll go full time, which is sick.
Amazing. Okay, really nice. Second question for you is, what are you proudest of?
My family. I have a great family. Like I have a really, really like great relationship with my nucleus family, so partner and little one. I think we're all super healthy. We know how to talk to each other. We know how to engage each other's emotions. Have very open and honest conversations. Yeah, that's definitely what I'm most proud of, for sure.
Yeah, amazing answer. It's always nice because with these questions, it's, whatever it means to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people go down the business route, some people go down the family route, but no, that's beautiful to hear. Okay, is there anything you wish you did differently?
I think I wish I'd gone slow when hiring people. When bringing people into the business, I should have gone slower. I rushed into certain decisions based upon time constraints, and I shouldn't have done that. And I won't ever do that again.
And what was the impact of doing that?
Many years of having to like put a plaster on a wound when you know it's a gaping wound and it needs more than a plaster. And yeah, definitely won't do that again, because you're constantly it's like you're trying to patch up something that's leaking, but you're not addressing what's actually leaking. You're just trying to patch up. You're just trying to put like plaster on the area. We're not actually trying to go and fix wherever the leak is coming from. So yeah.
And is that like from a cultural perspective, like hiring too quickly, you lose the culture, or how did you see that? Because it's a problem every founder faces.
Yeah, for sure. I think cultural perspective, but also over the years, probably not less so now, but over the years, I've brought in B players instead of A players. And Steve Jobs always speaks about having A players. And I think because of time constraints and money constraints at the time, like I said, we're bootstrapped. We haven't raised money like that. So you have what you have. So you hire what you can hire. And in hindsight, that's not a win, because then you hire and then you end up having to do part of the job anyway, because you haven't had an A player, you've hired a B player. And it's not their fault.
Yeah.
They'd be an A player in another company, but I have very high expectations. And because I have high expectations of myself, so it's then, it can be quite detrimental.
Super interesting. One of my investors always said to me, back the A team with the B plan, because the plan will change, the people won't.
Exactly, the bro couldn't. That's two good quotes today, bro. You're quoted out, but that's two. And I think it's gold. I think it's true, and I think it's I won't ever do that again. I will hire the next thing I build. I will hire so slowly, and I will take my time, and they will be absolutely grilled, and their probation will be longer, and I'll have the opportunity to say, actually, this isn't working out. You're going, and I won't. I'm now a lot less emotional than I was when I first started. Now, like. And in the nicest way, I don't know much about my team's lives outside of work. Because my co-founder's really good at that, and I absolutely adore her for that, because she's great at it. It's just not me. And I think having that separation is great for me.
Yeah.
Because when it's time for you to leave, it's time for you to leave.
Yeah. 100%.
We're not a family. And I used to call us a tribe. We're not a tribe. We're a team. And in a team, you can be replaced.
I made the exact same mistake.
Yeah,
Called them family, moved to team.
Yeah, bro.
After I had to get rid of one.
Yeah.
To be fair, I would fire my family.
Yeah, 100%.
I would.
I'd be like, you're dead to me. Eject a seat.
Exactly, but I know exactly what you mean. We took away the whole team to Madrid.
Yeah.
Couple weeks ago, and everyone was together for 2 holidays.
This guy's living lifestyle, you know. Man said we took the whole team to Madrid for weeks. It's mad, you know. Love this. Sorry, carry on, bro.
No. It was fun. But I just came for the dinner on both nights.
Yeah.
The rest of the time,
great.
you guys have fun, enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Because that's it. Like, you've got your colleagues aren't your friends if you're a CEO, right? It's just the reality. And I think people get themselves in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, 100%.
Because the thing is that you give so much of yourself to the company that almost you're expecting friendship in return.
Yeah, bro.
But it's just like, it's not how it is.
Yeah, it's not the game. It's not the game.
Yeah. Okay, my next question for you is, what does it take to be successful?
Again, depends on your definition of success. We were talking about this earlier, so it's actually a really good question. I think from my perspective, what it takes to be successful is, for me, my definition of success is waking up and doing what I want every single day, but not having to worry about the financial constraints. So what it takes to get there initially would be risk. But then making calculated risk. So calculated risk decisions, if that's the right word, calculated risk decisions, but without fear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if my target for me personally is for myself and my family, my nucleus family, my close, to be in a position where we can do what we want without the fear of finance and the fear of bills. Then to get there, I need to take a calculated risk to get there. And then as the journey's going along, you need to be smart about each risk that you take, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be risks along the journey to get to that position. But I think everybody will have their own definitions. But for me, that's how I get there. It's just taking those calculated risks. And I'm in a position right now where I need to take another risk. But I need to just make sure that I'm calculating all the odds before I take that risk. And I think that's how I become successful, by constantly taking very, very calculated risks, and doing all the maths.
And do you think that, because sometimes I feel like there's a trade-off between being able to take the time to think it through and the requirement for speed, right? Especially I think with startups where it's maybe ultra competitive, whatever it is. How do you find that balance? And is it just a gut thing of saying, okay, this is something I can afford to take that time with, or is that just going to be your approach for all these risks?
So, bro, you're good at these questions, man. These are sick, by the way. When I come on podcasts, I'm like, bro, these notes are terrible. But nah, these are great, bro. I love this one. Okay, so I like to give myself time. Like we mentioned earlier with the ADHD, I have a very stringent day-to-day schedule, and that allows me then to think. So with regards to my calculated risks, I will, so say for example, over the summer, it was one of the quietest summers we've had since I started the business. So I took the opportunity to think.
Okay.
I had so in May and June were the busiest months I've ever had. As in, like, I was doing like 13 meetings a day. It was like crazy. It made no sense, and I was like killing myself. And then that began to creep into the following month. But in June, I came up with the idea for a new technology, a new product that we were going to launch. And because I reduced the number of meetings I was doing because I started to lose my hair and all this kind of. I reduced the number of meetings, and that gave me the opportunity to sit down and go, okay, what do I think this business should be, and where do we need to go? So because I was able to give myself that time, I reduced how busy my diary was, and I sat there and I just pondered, and I just walked, and I just did all those things, and then the ideas came. And then the one that we've now run with is working. We've got clients signing up and so on, which is great. So I give myself that time.
Amazing.
So I'm going to go to Devon for 5 days. I'm going to give myself that time. I'm going to go to this country for 5. I'm going to give myself that time. And giving myself that time is just not going there and be like, all right, I'm going to write down things. I don't do that. I just walk around, chat shit, meet people, tip waiters far too much. Like, I do stuff like that just brings me joy.
Yes.
That I'm just like, that's nice. That's fun. I enjoy doing that. Like going to my boys with Copenhagen, partying too hard, but just enjoying myself. And then when I sit, my brain is free to then think. And I think giving myself that time then leads to the smarter decisions, which then is actually beneficial later on. And I think I've done that. This summer has been amazing for that, because it's just given me that opportunity to think. And now I'm doing the same again, where I'm going, okay, from a strategic perspective, what's next? So I need to give myself the opportunity to think. So my Fridays, from the afternoon pretty much onwards, I don't really do much. And I pretty much finish early on a Friday. Like today, I'll finish at like 3:34. And in the evening, I'll just like go on a ride on my motorbike and just think.
Amazing.
And it's just like, I'm not expecting myself to come up with a decision or an idea right there and then, but I know, give myself and I talk to myself a lot. Like, people must think I'm praying or something when I'm walking the street. Sometimes I am, but most of the time I'm just talking to myself.
Always that inner dialogue with ADHD.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Like, constantly talking to myself.
Yeah.
So I put my headphones in so people think I'm on the phone. But it's like talking, but just running through the ideas, running through the plan. I know we're probably running over time, but so I apologize for that. But
No,
but yeah, I think just giving myself that time to think is helpful. So I know I need it, so I create time to have it.
Amazing. Okay, my last one for you is,
shoot, bro.
15-year-old Jay walks in the room right now. What are you going to tell him?
Wear a condom. No. That's hilarious. Probably the first time you had that in this podcast. Probably the last time you had that in this podcast. ADHD. All right, cool. What do I tell him? Everybody can do that. Invest in Apple. But no. What would I tell him? I would say, take bigger risks. Be careful who you surround yourself with. Not every friend is a friend. And just enjoy the people around you. Bigger risks, Every friend is a friend, and enjoy the people around you.
That is great advice.
Yeah, bro.
That's every 15-year-old should hear that.
Yeah, bro. I need to hear it now. I'm 33.
Jake, where can people find you?
That was sexy though. That
it was nice. That
was a raspy, sexy
yeah.
voice. Where can I find you? I was like, all right, fair. Sounds like Bane. JK Richards on all social media. I have a TikTok that's JK Burke, so if you want to follow me and see outfits, you can do that. But no, LinkedIn and Twitter, JAYK for kilo, and then Richards, and then the business is Imagen Insights, so it's IMAGEN and then Insights.
Jay, you're a legend. Thank you so much for coming on.
Roei, appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.
Thanks for watching the episode. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit subscribe below so that you can support the podcast and we can keep on bringing you amazing new guests. If you want to see the other amazing episodes in this podcast, click into our series section. As ever, if there are any other guests or topics you want us to explore, just let me know in the comments and we'll do our best to bring someone in.